Mr. T. Davis, I had a couple of ideas what we could do for a Children in Need special this year, 2023. Okay, shoot. As also a part of the Doctor Who 60th anniversary celebrations, and to serve as an extra episode for the 14th Doctor before his main run of episodes. That's a really good idea. I'm having that. Okay, well, since it's the 60th anniversary year, what about we have an episode where the 14th Doctor reunites with Susan Foreman, with Carol Ann Ford returning to reprise her role? No. Okay, well, since it's David Tennant, what about an episode tying in with a adventure from series 2 to 4, or one of the specials? No. Okay. What about what about a prequel to Rose? Ooh, then we could get Christopher Eccleston back. No. Things between me, Jane, Julie, and Phil, and Chris Eccleston are still. Yeah. He still doesn't like us. A lot. He still resents us. Yeah, so yeah, I don't think that's likely. Also, he said he wouldn't do multi-doctor, so. And if you mean without David T, he'd like maybe, but if it was Chris Chibnall who was doing it, so probably not. Okay, well, Doctor Who magazine are doing a big 14 story comic run featuring the 14th Doctor meeting the Daleks. But if you wanted the 14th Doctor to meet the Daleks on screen, we could then say that at the end of that story, he then goes to Skaro, and maybe he meets the Daleks before the first Doctor and the Khalids arrive. Oh no! Oh, maybe he's the reason why they're revived at the end of that story and then go back to doing whatever they were doing. Yeah, there's Curse of the Daleks, but we could do Curse of the Daleks in 5 minutes and less sexist. No. Well, let's see. What else there's there? There's what else there? There's Time Lash prequel, but that'd be better with John Pertwee. The third Doctor. There's the Survival follow up. That story actually needs direct follow up. It's more to the fact of what happened next for the Doctor and Ace. What about let's see. What about something from Series 6 with Matt Smith? Maybe something to do with those flesh people. Maybe we could get we could get Jodie Whittaker back and have a 10th Doctor meets the 13th Doctor moment, and they just sit down and talk like besties. Many of these are pretty good ideas, but I don't think many of them would work for a 60th anniversary celebration. That reminds me, I don't think we're doing enough for the 60th anniversary. I should do this Tales from the TARDIS idea I've had. Yes, I need to write some of these ideas down, actually. Especially the classic ones. Okay, there's not really much more that's, well, I'd say that's a lie. There's a lot more we could do. But what would be a good 60th anniversary-esque Children in Need episode? What about a prequel to Genesis of the Daleks, where the 14th Doctor accidentally sort of helps create the Daleks, albeit with just giving them a sink plunger as their one of the attachments? We could do a prequel to Genesis of the Daleks. Yeah. So the Doctor would be sort of responsible for the Daleks having a sink plunger as one of their attachments, but otherwise not really being too much just directly responsible for it, and still setting the stage for the original classic story, whilst also tying in with the current run of episodes. Yeah, actually, that works, Mr. T. Davis. Yeah, that works right. And we can have a Davros who's not in a wheelchair / life support system, who's able to walk around and stuff. We'll just get Julian Bleach to walk around the set in a Khalid militant uniform, like neither. Yeah. Oh, okay then. Fair enough. Must be a good couple of years before, at least. Yes, pre-accident Davros. how we see him then in his life and how we see him now on screen. Yeah. Oh, that's all right. I don't see a problem with that. Let's do that. Does that signal anything? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here. It's finally time after nearly 2 months of waiting at time of recording and time of release, a bit more than 2 months. It is time for my review of Doctor Who, the 60th anniversary specials. Woo! Starting with the 2023 Children in Need Minisode, Destination Skaro. Technically, this is the first TV story to feature the 14th Doctor as played by David Tennant, who returns after previously playing the 10th Doctor. Of course, technically his first proper post-regeneration story is actually the comic Liberation of the Daleks, which I've got somewhere around here. Yes, down here somewhere. So that is the first 14th Doctor story canonically. And if you want to just focus on the actual main TV episodes, the Star Beast is technically the first then. But TV episodes, but counting minisodes, it's this one. So the plot of Destination Skaro is that the recently regenerated 14th Doctor, following from the regeneration at the end of The Power of the Doctor and the events of Liberation of the Daleks, then travels to Skaro during the 1,000-year war between the Khalids and Files, more towards the end, as he arrives prior to the genesis of the Daleks, and a pre-accident Davros makes an appearance in this episode. So it's probably in the last decade, second to last decade of the war, but still a good few years off from the events of Genesis of the Daleks, the story that sees the, genesis of the Daleks. So the Doctor crash lands in a room on Skaro where one of the Daleks is being shown off to Davros's assistant, and basically how he was talking about all the stuff about the Dalek and how it's going to be how the Khalid race is going to survive through it. When Davros leaves the room, however, the TARDIS slams through and arrives, and the Doctor then turns up and starts talking to the aide. He then realizes where he is, when he is, and what he's done, and after spouting out some of his usual gibberish about it being a Dalek, the usual lines about, oh, MG, it's a Dalek, oh dear, I'm glad I wasn't exterminated, he then realises when he is, and the aide is jotting stuff down, the name for the Dalek, the extermination, etc. The Doctor then tries to make a quick exit, but because he damaged the Dalek's original attachment, not the gun, the other attachment, the other weapon device attachment, he then grabs himself a plunger from inside the TARDIS and uses that. And that's how the Daleks got their sync plunger attachments on their right side. And it's definitely the right, it's left for the audience, but if you're facing the same way as the Dalek, it's on the right. So then the Doctor goes, Davros comes in and says he likes the new attachment. And that's basically the plot of Destination Skaro. It sounds pretty simple enough. It's fairly easy to follow. Does it disrupt some of the continuities from expanded media, like the iDavros audios, which are pretty popular? Yes, but this is the TV continuity, and this will take prime precedent, and so this is going to be the official pre-Genesis episode. Also, Stephen Moffat basically rebooted the universe in the Big Bang, so that's why we can have the 8th and 13th Doctors meet Mary Shelley and not disrupt anything. The 8th Doctor met it before pre-Big Bang, and the 13th Doctor meets it afterwards. Also, the whole thing with the Siberian kind of helped there as well. Anyway, so yeah, Destination Skaro, it's basically just that. That's basically the episode. And you know what? It's fine. It's a perfectly fine story. Yeah. I will say some of the comedy doesn't quite land. It works pretty well when Julian Bleach, returning for the third time as Davros, is doing some of it, and David Tennant is electric as per usual, and the other guy is also really fun as the 80s. Actor's name escapes me. But some of the comedy does feel a little bit off, and it doesn't help Murray Gold later then brings in some pretty kind of comedic music. His kind of more um dread feeling music, like the ha kind of track when basically Davros' theme in this special. It and I'll add some of that danger dreaded value, and then he goes into comedic mode when the Doctor turns up, and it doesn't quite fit. Thankfully, his music in the 60th trilogy and the Church on Ruby Road is awesome, so this is kind of a wobbly stepping stone before we get back onto solid ground with Murray music. FYI, I did like Sega Nakanoda's music in the last era. That was really good. In terms of Murray's music, he had a little bit of a wobble stepping stone here, but he's back on, bang on, full on form next time. Promise. That's my main kind of gripes with this minisode, is the comedy and the music aren't quite, or at least the comedic music aren't quite up to scratch, but as it's a children need special, I'm not going to hark on it. It's perfectly fine, serviceable, and the episode fits into a fairly decent area in continuity. So yeah, it's a perfectly fine and harmless minisode, with one glaring additional element that, okay, it's time to address the elephant in the room. Davros is not disabled in this episode. As this is set before Genesis of the Daleks, we can presume this is pre-accident, and that makes it completely fine. And also, it's a children need minisode, and as Davros kind of falls under the scarred villain and disabled villain trope, and this being a children need special, it doesn't really make it okay to have him in it. In which case, it makes me wonder why they had him in the first place. But so they've made it accident where he's still got his legs, he's still walking around, he's still like normal, although he has a hunch in places for some reason. So not having a wheelchair or equivalent of, such as a lightable system in Davros's case, is not great, but having a hunch is okay, I guess. Explain to me that one, internet. But yeah, because it's because of that trope, and Russell not wanting to associate that type of villain with children in need. Again, why they bothered to bring Davros into this episode in the first place then is questionable. But because of that, it's set pre-accident, and he's got his legs. That's fine, makes sense, and it's appropriate for this type of story and for the episode it is. Again, why they brought him back in the first place is still questionable, but whatever. The changes they made, and for the reasons why, fair enough. Completely fine with it, and it makes sense story-wise. But Russell's comments about this is how we see Davros now makes us wonder, is this how he's going to be portrayed moving forward? Like, not just set pre-Genesis, like set post Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, the last time we saw the character back in 2015 with Series 9's opener. So yeah, I will be a bit worried if they do continue doing this, because of, like, they are changing the character to be look completely different to how he was, unless they have a really good story reason behind it. There's also the whole fears of the trope of making someone who was previously disabled able, and that could upset a couple people. And I know this decision already has upset quite a few people, both legitimately. They have their own legitimate and personal reasons, and of course you've got your right-wing extremists and conservatives who just cry over any so-called woke and changes to anything that, like, wokeness. Those assholes. Yes, some people have legitimate concerns and worries as well, of course, as I mentioned, but it's mostly the crybabies who are getting upset about this. The usual. What a fucking surprise. Well, to quote Duke from an episode of Thomas and Friends, it's no use, you can't win. supposed to be showing both hands, but the camera doesn't show the full distance. So yeah, I would be a bit concerned about if this is how Davros is in a set post Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, moving forwards in a way, but that's more so for like the characters himself as well as the ableist element. Although I can understand where they're coming from, of course. It's well-meaning. Really, the reason why Davros is a villain is more down to his ideology than the fact he's disabled or scarred. And I think that would have to be what is really drilled into about this is why Davros is evil, whether he is still in his chair, his life support system, or if he is walking again. I think that is if the character ever does come back again on screen, that's got to be drilled into the audience. Like, he's evil because of this, and not that, and that. If that makes sense. That's how I do it. Whichever way it went, I would say, but he's not evil because of that. He's evil because of this, and this ideology, supremacy complex, God complex as well, and hating all other life forms, thinking the Daleks are superior, etc. The usual Dalek stuff. Plus the fact that he believes he is the god of the Daleks, or emperor of the Daleks, like he used to do back in some of the classic stories and audios. So yeah, but that's for the future. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, this is fine. This is okay. Stop getting your knickers in a twist unless you actually have a genuine reason to. People who are disabled probably have more, physically or mentally disabled, have more of a personal reasoning for whichever reasoning they have. Those are super feckin' valid for the most parts. Everybody else, let's wait and see what happens. And if he is walking in a post-Magician's Apprentice story, then you have the right to be more concerned. But for right now, just let it go. Just let it go. One more thing, I realised during this review I hadn't put this on. I'd only started wearing it for the Series 13 reviews because of the unwarranted and hateful responses that a actress with an arm that hadn't fully grown, like stunted on the left, the actress who plays Dan's girlfriend in that story, was it on the right? It was one of the arms. One of the arms hadn't fully grown at birth. So when that character appeared on screen, a lot of hateful people basically had to go at her for that. Just for having, yeah, that. So I've been wearing this in reviews since then to fight against those bastards, those horrible cunts who are just so cruel. And it looks like my job is not done yet, as it seems that there are plenty of those bastards still about who will have a go at anyone. And considering that Ruth Madley's character has received some flack just because she's disabled and played by a disabled actress, as well as this whole Davros kerfuffle, it appears that my work isn't done yet. So it appears that I shall be wearing this for all future Series 14 reviews, or Season 1, whatever, reviews going forward, or basically all new stories going forward, I should say, because of hateful people like them. So a massive fuck you to those people, and this is going back on, supporting the mental and physically disabled. And I hope you guys weren't too upset about this whole Davros thing. If you do, please comment down below why you thought it wasn't a good idea. If you do support it, also comment down below what you think, and also comment whether you have a different stand on it being pre-Genesis and a post-Magician's Apprentice, or basically or even post-Genesis story. We're not rewriting the older stories to say that they never had the old Davros and the new ones replaced him. No, but do comment down below your stance on how it's portrayed here and how it could be portrayed going forward. Though if you do speculate, only make sure it is, I think, this possibly speculate, not this is factually how it's going to be. Theorize, don't outright say this is going to be because I said so. Basically, kind of thing. This applies to everyone, by the way. Be free to comment down below. Theorize. Please be nice to each other. Please be nice in the comments. Don't go at Haiti for no reason, especially to each other. And I hope you guys enjoyed Destination Skaro. Before we wrap up this review, Well, first of all, I'm going to do the score. I've got to do the score. I'll do the score. Before we wrap up this review, I can't let it go without mentioning the Cbeebies Bedtime Story and how electrifying David Tennant is as the Doctor in those small bits where he's telling the story, as well as the bits at either side of it where he's introducing it, and then at the very end. It's really cool where he's like just so energized and so much having so much fun as the Doctor. When he comes out at that first minute where it basically is a one long take of him coming out the TARDIS, being the Doctor for a few minutes, and then sitting down to start the story. That is so good. That is so well done. Whoever directed that should be given a medal, a bucket of gold, and a knighthood or damehood, and given a massive mansion and land. Yeah, they still have to pay lots of tax, but you know they've got all the stuff for it, so that's fine. The ending also has a nice tie-in with Doctor Who as well, as the Doctor is about to start telling the story of the show, harking back to the original 1963 first episode, An Unearthly Child. Lovely stuff. Before he sets about on his way after realising it's going to be a very long story. And yeah, even if we just take the TV stories into account and just abbreviated it into a couple of sentences, we would probably be here for about an hour. Or if you're talking really fast like David Tennant does, maybe half an hour. 35 minutes with a couple of breathing gaps. But yeah, the Cbeebies Bedtime stuff with the 10th Doctor and David Tennant's narration, that's all really good. The story itself, I'm afraid to say, isn't that great, at least looking from it from a realism point of view, with the boy flying an aeroplane, going to the moon, an alien crashes into the moon as well, and they have to try and help each other out. There's a lot of unrealistic elements here in terms of the practicality of real life, like they're able to breathe without suits. The boy can just parachute down to Earth. He's okay swimming in the sea, and then he gets a rope to climb up to the moon. And he just so happens to have a spanner. It's this is fantasy. This is taking real life elements and just saying, right, all that scientific stuff and all this logistical stuff and all geography even in places. Yeah, scratch all that. Just have a little fun story. And if you look at it like that, yeah, fair enough. It's a funny story. But if you include the realism elements, then yeah, then it's not that great. It's something for the children's imagination. And, for a children's story, especially for younger children, this was Cbeebies, this was aired on, then it's all right, I guess. Younger children will get a kick out of it. Maybe older ones as well. But the main draw for this particular episode of Cbeebies Bedtime Stories was the fact that it was the 14th Doctor, played by David Tennant, but in character, telling the story, as well as celebrating the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who before and after they did the story, as well as setting up the 14th Doctor's short era on TV. So, yeah, this aired the day before the Star Beast aired, so it was basically setting that up. Lovely stuff. So, overall, Destination Skaro, which, by the way, is a really well-made episode, really good direction and cinematography and sets and stuff. Apparently it's directed by the director who's directed the next series' final 2 episodes, I believe. The finale, so that's cool. And they probably filmed it around a similar time, as it was filmed about April last year for a November airing. Also, they celebrated David Tennant's birthday on the set. Lovely stuff. So Destination Skaro, I was considering a 7 out of 10 because of the comedy going a little bit cringy in places. But I'm actually going to be a nice dude and give it a low, but full 8 out of 10. Yeah, I don't do the points and percent, like the something point something like 7.9 or 7.8 or 8.1, 8.2. No, we are sticking to fully rounded numbers. So it's a low 8. It's a low 8, but it's an 8 regardless. So yeah, or at the very least, a very high 7 that's now gone into the 8s, but just about. Yeah, I don't take half measures. I do the full round number, even if it doesn't quite. Which one should we go for? Lean towards something. If I was doing points, I probably would go maybe 7.8 or 7.9, maybe a high 7.7. But in terms of the full round numbers, it is 8. A Paul McGann out of David Tennant, if you wish, as opposed to Sylvester McCoy. Love all three of you, by the way. So, yeah, Destination Skaro, solid, children in need, Minisode. It's not perfect, and there are a few questionable things like some of the comedy doesn't quite land, and the music. And if Davros was a villain that doesn't quite work for a children in need Minisode, why bring him back in the first place? Because then you've got those changes to make. So I don't know why they bothered to bring him back in the first place, unless it was to make those changes. But again, for this one-time story, it's fine. However, going forward, that's when we might be able to start getting worried. Unless you're a hater, in which case you hated it before it was even an idea that was conceived. So, fuck you, I guess. Everybody else? Well, we'll just have to see what happens next. So, that's it for my review of Destination Skaro and Cbeebies Bedtime Stories, which is totally canon, by the way. Anyway, that was addressed in Destination Skaro. The whole canon is out of things, so it got a little meta there. Oh well. So yeah, that was my review of Destination Skaro and, to a lesser extent, Cbeebies Bedtime Stories. Although the best bits were David Tennant in character as the Doctor. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for my review of The Star Beast. Also, quick update for you guys. I will be reviewing Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle, both on the Universal's YouTube channel, later in February. So I will post link videos with clips of those and the sketches when those reviews come out. And you can have these link videos will be on this channel, so you can click those and go and watch those videos, or just check out the playlist, or go onto the channel whatever way. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, etc., from all channels. So yeah, for Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle, I'll be doing the reviews on the Universals, and therefore leave link videos to those and on this channel with links to them. And then Church on Ruby Road will be after that, and I'll be back on this channel. Thomas is reviewing this Destination Skaro for the channel, and Benny is doing Star Beast and Ruby Road. I forgot the titles for a second. I was about to say the two I'm doing. But yeah. So do stay tuned for my review of the Star Beast and the Church of Ruby Road on this channel, and link videos also on this channel to my review of Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle on the Universals. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. Mr. T. Okay, well, since it's an anniversary series, yeah. Okay, well, since it's an anniversary year, we could do a prequel to Genesis of the Dark. And that's exactly what they did. No! Things between Chris and me, Jane. What about a Genesis of the Daleks prequel? We aren't doing a Fourth Doctor Tales from the TARDIS, so what about Genesis of the Dalek? No. Yes. Pre-accident Davros. This is how we see Davros then, and this is how we'll see Davros now. And we can have Davros walking, not the same. And we can have a pre-accident Davros, who, with Davros out the room, but sorry, I had a bit of dust on my tongue. The usual stuff about the Doctor. I'm happy I didn't make the full. I'm so glad the music in the 60th specials is even better than. Yeah. Hang on, just give me a sec. Thankfully, his music in the 60th specials is awesome, and Church on Ruby Road. It's so. This is just basically kind of like a little bit of a. It's a stepping. FYI, I did like Second. FYI, I did like. So yeah, it's just it's a harmless, fun Minisode. Yeah, perfectly, completely fine. With one major stumbling block. You don't really want to associate, as Russell T Davies said, a disabled villain with in a children. You don't want to have one of those in a, and as Russell T Davies says, you don't want to have a disabled villain or a scarred villain in a Minisode. No, as he tried to do back in the classic series and in the audio, like he used to do back in the audio. There's a more valid. Of course, there's a super valid. Those are super fucking valid. Everybody else, let's just lay off it until we find out what's actually. As well as this whole Davros kerfuffle, as well as this whole because of self, and also whether it's a whole, and also comment whether it's don't use, only use speculation, don't use anything outside of, don't do that, theorize, don't say this, yeah, they would still have to pay a lot of tax, as it's also really great. So, even if we're talking really fast, this was Cbeebies, but yeah, but the main thing with this, but the main eye drawing to, and yeah, that was really great, as well as also celebrating the 60th anniversary as it was done about April last year. I'm gonna end it off by giving it a. I was considering a 7 out of 10 score after seeing it again. I think I might. So yeah, I'm gonna go with 7 out of 10. Mainly because I don't think the comedy completely lands, and the comedic music is kind of weak in places, but the other elements are strong enough to secure. Actually, I'm going to say, love you both, by the way. I should say all three, actually. I love you all three. I should say all three, actually. Going forward, then we might be able to stop. Unless you're an absolute hater, in which case you didn't care either. Also, quick update. I will be reviewing Wild Blue. Also, quick update. Fuck. Also, quick update. I will be. Fuck! How is this the hardest bit? Also, quick update. I will be